Hello and welcome to Sex, Love, and Soul. I'm Mary Knight. Today is Q&A Tuesday. I just started that today. And I have a viewer email from a gentleman who said I could use his name, Dr. Marcus. And he emailed me a while back and with a very interesting question, a very interesting situation. I have been a dating and relationship coach for about 15 years now, and this is the first time that I've seen a question exactly like this. Usually as a dating coach, you get the same question over and over again, and this one I've certainly experienced the same kind of flavor that he's put forth in this, but the circumstances are unusual for me. Now, in my past life, when I was working as a high-end escort and when I was the madam of a brothel, and I also ran some escort services, and I say brothel, it's like, I feel like there's a better word for that. We called it modeling studio or lingerie modeling studio, but I felt like if I said that, y'all wouldn't know what I was talking about. But anyhow, so if you haven't looked at my About Me, that is my background. And then while at the tail end of my adult industry career, which ended 12, coming up on 13 years ago now. And then I've been with my husband, we've been together for 10 years now. So that life is, is way back there, but I gained a lot of wisdom, a lot of amazing insights on men, women, sex, attraction. And I started coaching while I was actually still working in the adult industry, because I had so much experience with understanding why men cheated and how women could prevent it from ever happening to them. And so that's who I was coaching in the very beginning. And I would coach men every now and then. And of course, as a madam, as an escort, I was a confidant to a lot of men. They would share their relationship experiences with me, why they were unhappy at home, why they were calling my service and wanting to see the women that worked there. And I learned a lot. And that is why I'm here on YouTube. I think that it's important that someone like me, whether you like my background or not, that I do share this information that I have. I know I haven't on YouTube, I haven't sat here and talked about this. I haven't said it all like this. And I have to say, in all honesty, it was because even though I have that in my About Me section, I was feeling a little bit shy about it because I don't want people to not listen to me because they're judging me for my past. And I know that happens and I'm like, well, what am I gonna do, right? What am I gonna do about it? I can't do anything about it except just be honest now. I lived a life as a liar for a very long time, and I came out from underneath that, and now here I am, sharing all my business with you. Actually, no, it's not about me sharing my business. It's about me sharing what I know to help you with your business, with your dating business and relationship stuff that you have going on. So the reason that I brought this up before I read this email is because it reminded me of some of the things that I experienced with clients while I was actually an escort, and then things that I would hear the other women that worked for me or that I worked with talk about. And that is that men would think that we had a relationship beyond our business transaction. And I know that some of you who have never seen a sex worker, or you've never been on OnlyFans, which actually is not something I'm familiar with. I've heard about it, of course, and I know what it is, but I've never been on there. That's after my time. Perhaps, y'all have been to strip clubs and you meet a stripper, you see escorts, you have Only Girls fans that you patronize, Instagram models that you write, whatever the situation is. And they're nice to you and they smile at you and show you their boobies and all this stuff. And so you think, oh my God, she likes me. We have a relationship because I'm giving her money. I'm helping her out. She tells me she likes me. She's sharing personal stories with me. In my case, I was actually having sexual relationships with my clients. And I think that people think that men who see escorts and patronize strip clubs and all this kind of stuff, in particular, I think maybe not so much with OnlyFans patrons, but they think that these guys who see escorts or see strippers, that they are like this kind of tough, cool guy, or a guy who is maybe a kind of a loser. I want to say neither one of those things are true. They're just regular, everyday guys like you. And what I would always tell my women coaching clients, because I am a dating coach for women. I do coach men now that y'all been asking me, but women in their 50s dating after divorce. And what I always say is that, men who cheat, men who patronize sex workers of all stripes, men who get involved in porn, they're just regular, everyday guys. They are your brother, your dad, your uncle, your husband, your boyfriend, your sons, everyday dudes. They're not losers, they're not weirdos, they're not gross and fat and ugly and weird, kinky, fetishy dudes that can't get off unless it's something super weird. That's not what that is all about. Yeah, of course, there are pockets of that, but generally speaking, that's not what all this is about. Okay, that was not what I was planning to get into with all of this, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because we think that, unless you have been there yourself, we think that men that get caught up in some online relationships where they're giving money to a woman, or maybe they're being scammed or catfished or whatever, we're like, oh, that could never happen to me. What is wrong with that person? And we kind of put that person off in a category that is not us. And I'm saying these kinds of things can happen to anyone who doesn't have a clear sense of what he or she is looking for in a relationship. It's very easy to get caught up in situations where we're having a few of our needs met and it feels really good to us, so good in fact that we ignore all the red flags, right? And that can happen because that's the way the human brain works. And when we feel attraction for someone, whether we're seeing them online or photos or whatever, our brain releases chemicals that are attraction chemicals that feel amazing. And they are literally intoxicating. And with some people, they experience that at a more intense level than others of us do. And so they get really caught up and swept up in all of these wonderful feelings, so much so that they ignore the red flags. They ignore their values, right? They get into situations, men and women get into situations where they start compromising their values. They start participating in things they normally wouldn't. They start saying yes when they mean no. And so that's what I want you to keep in mind when I'm reading this email. Instead of feeling judgmental, instead of feeling like, oh, that could never happen to me, just keep in mind all that stuff that I said. And I'll kind of, to kind of wrap up what I just said is, you have to have your yeses and you have to have your nos. When you are going to be involved in a relationship, you have to know what your deal breakers are. And I think that's even more important than knowing what you want. Because what happens a lot of times is we get a little bit of what we want, and that is enough to satisfy us so that we ignore the deal breaker type stuff. Bear with me. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Mary, thank you so much for allowing YouTube men to contact you. You are very welcome. Your education and experience in life are fascinating to me. My name is Dr. Marcus, and I'm cursed with being a nice guy. I've been all thumbs when it comes to women my whole life. I was reared to think sex was dirty and only something that men wanted, thanks to my mother. That's unfortunate. That does happen to a lot of men, where you are taught that, and I'm not sure of your age, but I was born in the 60s, and that was definitely something that was taught, is that sex is something that a man does to a woman. And so, of course, that's not appealing to anyone involved, except maybe some sadists. Anyhow, I was always behind, and looking back, I'm making sure that girls picked up on this. I had to educate myself, and I'm still learning. That's fantastic. Good for you. And you're being willing to submit this email and have it blasted all over the internet. I honor you for that, even though, we're not using your whole name. Thank you. You still know that it's you I'm talking to. I'm sure it was part of the reason for my divorce, although my ex was very conservative. This caused a lot of damage that I still carry. I'm sure that did. That can cause lifelong damage, but the good news is that you're aware of it and you're seeking guidance. My question should be easy for you. Oh boy, okay. Fast forward, I'm recovering 4 years now. I was in the process of researching a drug and its effect on people. I came across a young lady who had a lot of experience with prescription drugs. I'm not really sure what that means. I don't know if that's a good thing, but carry on. Just like you mentioned, you cannot really know someone through email, so I had to go to work with what I had, which was an Instagram channel. I created an account just to try and talk to her more. I see what you did here. You were thinking, okay, well, I don't want to just email her. I actually want to have a real interaction with her. And so you were thinking that Instagram felt real. Okay. I could see that. A lot of people feel like that's real, just like people seeing my video and hearing me talk and looking into the camera. You feel like you're connected to me because I'm talking to you. She would talk to me, but she was very curt, defensive, and acting uninterested. Somehow I picked up that I intrigued her, and we established a tiny rapport or impression. I'm not really sure what that means, but I just became frustrated with her, gave her my cell number with a little note that said, just in case you change your mind. So I'm not sure why you became frustrated with her, because it's just Instagram messaging, but she didn't owe you anything, right? You're just messaging her. You're just a random person messaging someone on Instagram. Okay. To my amazement, I got a text from her that said, "What can you tell me about yourself?" I replied back with a summarization about me. Keep in mind, I was still watching her videos, learning everything I could about her. I told her in the text that I liked her. She replied back as if she was a different person. She told me in so many words that she liked me too, except for the fact that I didn't want to have children. But I explained that I would make an exception for her with that not caring on my part. Okay, that was maybe that was typos. This seems like y'all have had an extraordinarily intimate exchange over an app by messaging. And that is not different than email. That's the same thing. It's any kind of app, any kind of device. She told me that she had a boyfriend on and off for the past 6 years. Okay, I'm gonna reserve my comment until a little bit later here. I told her that 6 years is a long time for someone to make up his mind about her. I told her jokingly that if she was in the same predicament, I would have married her within a year. She told me that he was waiting for the right time and that she said she loved him deeply. In my mind, I thought, that's bullshit, and I knew something was very wrong. She referred to him always as her significant other. She left me with the impression that he didn't want to be married, only she did, yet she would put him down in certain ways. It turns out I learned that he is an officer in the Air Force, currently deployed for 6 months. I thought something is really wrong! Exclamation mark. I will say this with respect to you. What's really wrong is that this woman has let you know that she has an on-again, off-again boyfriend. Right there, end of story. End of discussion. She is not available. If she's on and off with someone, who knows what the situation is? Is he breaking up with her or is she breaking up with him? Is it because he's active military and he's being deployed and comes back? It's like, you don't know the situation. And the thing is with something like this, you don't need to know the situation. All you need to know is that she's got a man in her life and that her heart belongs to him. And no matter what, her heart belongs to him, right? It's kind of like end of story. Like that is a deal breaker, right? That's one of those things that if you take the time to yourself, like take some time for yourself and go, okay, what is it that I expect from someone I'm going to be involved with? Oh, I'm going to expect that they're going to be available to me, not just physically available, like they don't have another person in their life that would keep them from pursuing a relationship with me, but that her heart is available. And also, from what I've read through, because I've read through this email and then subsequent email that you sent to me, is that y'all have never met in person. So she's not physically available to you. So this woman is not available to you in any way, except she's sending you some texts and telling you some things that sounds like some stuff you want to hear and some stuff you don't. She let me know that she did live broadcasts on her channel, and I had watched one but asked no questions. When she found out I was watching, she appeared with makeup on and very different. She had bright red shiny lipstick on and was dressed extremely nice. Because of my medical background, I knew the answers to the questions she would present to her live subscribers. She would propose a question, and if you had an opinion, you could type it. People would reply with speculation, but I would reply with the correct answer. It got to the point where she would speak my name in view of everyone. So I'm sure that felt really good, and it felt like you were connecting with her. After a short time, I decided to test her appearing as a different person. I'm not sure what you mean. Are you saying that you didn't believe that she had this on again, off again officer boyfriend? I'm familiar with military terms and planes. I knew her significant other, he had that in quotes, flew very well. I knew the plane her significant other flew very well. And then it goes on, the paragraph doesn't address like if she actually was able to answer your questions or not. But just because your significant other does something doesn't mean you know the details. My husband is a musician and probably has about, 40 guitars. Could I tell you about them? No. I know Gibson is the name and Fender. Okay, but seriously, I don't know. It doesn't mean I don't love him, and it doesn't mean we're not married. It just means that I don't know. The next paragraph is, I cared for her and came to like her. She mentioned on TV that we have so much in common. I'm not sure if TV, you mean Instagram TV, I guess, is that thing? Okay, so she let everyone know that she would be by herself on Thanksgiving, her birthday, and Christmas. She said that she would never do anything anyway. She came on a live broadcast and said she was depressed lately. I felt so bad for her, even if she was playing the lame duck card. I still couldn't help feeling bad for her. I thought I'll take a chance and asked her in the live chat if there was anything she needed. She said no, but I pressed her. I'm sure you're laughing, but long story short, I paid for her students' school supplies and for her license to continue her testing to remain a teacher. She sent a video of appreciation right around the week of Christmas. I'll attach it. And he did attach it. I watched it, and she is a very attractive, very sweet seeming person. Very, very engaging in her video. Again, very sweet voice. It seems like we became so close, she would text me from school and tell me how her day was going. If she got sick or overwhelmed, she would ask me what to do, and I would tell her exactly what to do. She might try other things but always do what I told her. We became very close. I couldn't help it. I just fell in love with her. I asked her when her significant other would be coming home, and she said she didn't know exactly, but would just give me the month. She had an Amazon gift list for her students, and sometimes I would send her things. Finally, I just came out and asked her, won't your boyfriend be upset with me sending things to your address? And she said no. Quote, the boyfriend won't be back yet anyway. Her boyfriend did come back after his deployment, and she introduced him to everyone in the live stream, including me. Everything seemed fine. Suddenly she made a video that she was getting married, but gave no video updates and didn't say anything to me about it. She would not post anything on her social media. It was as if it didn't happen. It was like she was hiding from me. I knew that it did take place. I was confused. The only pictures of her wedding were 2 pictures on her sister's account. I was hurt and happy for her at the same time. You're saying, okay, so what you're saying here is that she got married, but she didn't text you or contact you in any way beforehand and say, look, I'm getting married, thank you, and goodbye. That she didn't do that, that she just cut ties with you. That, and it seems like that's kind of maybe a little out of bounds to go searching for pictures of her wedding. I understand because of where you were in your heart and mind that you wanted to know what the hell was going on. Oh yeah, she switched my cell number to go straight to email. She had at least 10 videos dedicated to us. She either marked them as private or deleted them. I was trying to act like an adult about it, but she will not talk to me at all by email, text, or phone, yet she still has my number in her phone set to go directly to voicemail. Why didn't she just block my number? That is what happens when your number is blocked. It just goes directly to voicemail. I know that from my phone. When I block a number, they can still leave a voicemail for me. It just goes directly to it doesn't ring. So it sounds like she did block your number. Can you explain what happened here and how a person can do this? And then you say, you know, how could she accept over $2,000 in personal gifts? She would wear the jewelry I bought her in the video. She sent me pictures of herself with the jewelry and clothes I bought her. She had to feel something. That doesn't seem human. I think she has at least 2 personalities, one to get what she wants and the other to present to her family. So I kind of read through without interjecting a bunch of comments because this is very rich. There's a lot going on here. I'm just going to bottom line this with 2 things. Number 1 is that I've already mentioned she had a boyfriend, on again, off again boyfriend. Number 2, you never met her in person. If you've never met someone in person, you do not have a relationship with them. It isn't real. It's too easy to create a fantasy about the person and never get to know the real them. A lot of what relationships we have with other people are our thoughts about them anyway, and this allows that to really go on overdrive. It allows our mind to create the biggest fantasies about this other person. So huge. The thing about this that is really striking to me is that she said she had an on-again, off-again boyfriend, but because you didn't agree with the way that he was treating her, you didn't think that it could be serious. You're like, how could she love him if he treats her like this? And so you didn't take that whole thing seriously. But obviously she did, because now they're married. And I know that's a puzzler for you because you're like, what the hell? What kind of person does that kind of shit? Well, her kind of person. She does that. And then you said, how could she accept over $2,000 in personal gifts? Seems like she has 2 personalities. Not knowing her, but really, I don't need to know her to answer this question. She told you that she had an on-again, off-again boyfriend. She told you that. And you challenged her. Instead of believing her and going, oh, okay, you know what? I care about her. I like her. I want to help her out of the goodness of my heart. I'm going to send school supplies. I'm going to pay for her teaching, licensing, testing. I'm going to do that because I support elementary school teachers or whatever kind of teacher she is. I'm going to do that because I care about her. I like whatever she's doing, and not because I'm trying to make her like me. Whenever you get into the situation where you're trying to make somebody like you, you're on a very slippery slope because you did it for her approval. You didn't do it because you just wanted her to have it, because that was the core of your being, is I want to be supportive of this person, whether she has romantic feelings for me or not. You wanted something out of it that she already told you was not available, and yet you continue to pursue that. And then you're saying, oh, she must have two personalities. It's like, well, she told you and you didn't listen. And from the video that I saw, and also just knowing women, women do not tend to be direct communicators. Women will do things like not respond to you. They won't be as available to you. They won't answer your phone call. If they don't want to see you on a date, they just, whenever you ask them, whenever you ask them to go out, they just say, oh, I have plans, or I'm not available. And they don't offer any alternative, right? They just make it hard for you to be in touch with them. A woman who's into you makes it easy for you to be in touch with her. And it doesn't sound like this woman really, she did not make any effort. You just kept on with your agenda. You had an agenda and you were just marching on right ahead with it. And then, you know, sending her the gifts and the things that you sent to her class, maybe she did like you at some point and she felt confused because of her relationship with her boyfriend, and you were a man giving her a lot of attention. Obviously you had some things in common. You were able to give her, you were able to impress her with your medical knowledge, and she respected your advice. She would reach out to you, and I'll tell you, from being a woman with a man that you know likes you and you don't want to hurt his feelings, you kind of will do things to, I don't know, I had a better way to say it, kind of throw him a bone. Like, hey, what do you think I should do about this? Because she knew it would make you happy. And as I said, it's very rare that a woman will come right out and say to you, look, man, I told you that I have an on-again, off-again boyfriend. I still love him. I'm waiting for him to come back because when he does, I'm hoping that we're going to get married. That's my plan. That's my focus. So thank you for all that you've done for me, but I need you to leave me alone and respect my wishes. That's what I need you to do. And she didn't have the gumption to do that, and you weren't picking up on her hints. Right? That's a very typical male-female dynamic. Some women would just come out and go, hey, fuck off, leave me alone, right? Some women would do that. I'm actually that kind of woman. I am a direct communicator. I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, but if somebody keeps on and on and on and on and on and at me, like back in the day when I was available for that kind of stuff, I would eventually tell someone very directly to leave me alone. And most women are not like that. This lady seems very sweet, very kind, very gentle. And so she was telling you that and you weren't picking it up. All of these things that happened, this cascading situation happened because you didn't listen to her when she said she had an on-again, off-again boyfriend. That's not to like criticize you or say that you're a bad person or doing something wrong, but you know it wasn't great. You fell in love with somebody that you knew had someone else. You fell in love with somebody that you had never met in person. You were giving money to somebody in hopes of winning her over. Like that's what was going on there. And so all of that could have been avoided if you had just gone, oh shit, she's got a man, okay. Oh well, my loss, right? Instead of doing the nice guy thing, which a nice guy thing is to stick around, keep doing things for the woman, keep being there for her in hopes that she'll change her mind and that she'll see that you're the right one for her. that she'll see that you're the good one, that that other guy is just using her and doesn't know how to love her the way that you do. You see how that's, you don't know that guy, you don't know her. What it sounds like what you were doing is what we all do in these situations, is we superimpose our values onto someone else. You asked, how could she accept over $2,000 in personal gifts? Is she heartless? Like, what kind of person could do that? And it's actually, you know, a lot of people do that. And it was because y'all did not have clear lines of communication. Either she wasn't telling you in a way that you could understand, and you were telling her things that she didn't understand, or you weren't listening to her, or she wasn't listening to you. There was a communication breakdown. The bottom line is, again, she had another man. And you were doing the typical nice guy thing of, if you stick around long enough, you put in enough work, do enough nice things for her, that she'll change her mind and be with you. And so it's taking a look at yourself and thinking, why don't I think that, you know, why am I trying so hard to make someone like me when I know that she is taken? Why am I trying so hard? So the thing here to do is, before you get involved with anybody, right? I know that ship has sailed. She's out of your life now. But before this happens again, you have to sit down and make a list of your yeses and your nos. And pay a lot more attention to the no's, to the deal breakers, than to the yeses, than to the things you want. Because the things you don't want are going to be pretty major. Things like, she can't have another man. She has to be available. You know, and I don't know other things, maybe, you know, loyalty. She has to be honest. I don't know. I don't know what it is that you're looking for, because it didn't seem to bother you that she had another man. When he was in town, do you really think they weren't having sex? Did they live together? I mean, you don't know, right? Because you never saw her in person. You have no idea what her real situation was, if what she was telling you was even true. You have no way of knowing, because you're not a part of her life. And so I'm not trying to like grind this into the ground. It's that certain things have to be in place before you involve yourself with somebody else. You deserve that. You are worthy of having somebody who is available to you. Right? You don't need to be sharing somebody. You don't need to be trying to talk somebody into something. You don't need to put yourself in a situation where you're in competition with another man. That's not good for anybody concerned. Also, I would recommend, do not fall in love with women that you have not met in person. Don't do that. Okay? So I appreciate your sharing this email. I really do, because you opened your heart. You really shared yourself. That takes a lot of courage. It really does. And I want to emphasize too that anybody that's leaving comments, I do not want to see any bashing Dr. Marcus. I don't want to see anybody saying anything negative about his experience. Because just like I said in the introduction, this can happen to anybody, right? You have to have a vision for your future. You have to be living a life that you're proud of, or building towards a life that you're proud of. Because once you're doing that, it keeps you from falling into situations where you are so disempowered. You had no power in this relationship at all. That does not feel good to anybody. If you had this full life and you had all these really great things going on for you, then I have a feeling that you would be less susceptible to this. You know, and you're a doctor, so maybe part of it is that you have a lot of stress in your life, and you are building a life that you're proud of. Like you said, you know, something about medication trials and things like that. You know, I don't know what kind of doctor you are. I don't know if you're a PhD or a medical doctor, you know, but that is a very stressful job. And as smart as doctors are, I have some doctors in the family. As smart as doctors are, because you spend a lot of time in school, you can be kind of naive about the way the world works. Not putting shade on anybody, just saying that often people who are extremely successful in life, their weakness is emotional connection. Their weak spot is relationships, because you haven't had time to really cultivate that. And then from your upbringing, it doesn't sound like, you know, you were really allowed to have a lot of fun or have a lot of freedom with your body or with your thoughts. So that is also a thing. Thank you all for listening. Please email me if you have any questions. And if you will allow me to read your question online like this, I will move it to the top of the list. Also, if you have questions and you want coaching from me, I can get to you right away with that. I will have a link if it's not up by the time this video is posted. It will be this week. This is what is today, September the 17th. It will be up later this week, the link to my Calendly, and you can schedule some time with me directly there. And thank you so much for listening, and bye for now.